Alrighty, folks, and welcome to episode 2 of Spacing Out. Bet you didn't know they were going to be back to back like this. But a lot's happened. So I want to talk about China now and cryptocurrencies as a whole. I'm really bullish on cryptocurrencies. I really like the cryptocurrencies. And I guess I'll start with this because we're in this rally. And, that doesn't mean there's going to be some dips coming up. But it does mean that there's a lot of people who are new, who are excited, and also very confused. So let me kind of generally cover a few things, a few important wisdoms, I guess, personal experiences and conversations going on in the space. Starting out, when crypto's, and I've talked about this on Twitter too, when crypto's bullish, you see the smaller coins and take off more than the bigger ones. And just so there's no confusion, these smaller coins represent small companies, in most cases, startups. There's been some people saying that these are like scams. Let's be clear that a startup company doesn't make money isn't necessarily a scam, but a scam is usually is pitched as a startup company that doesn't make money. So know the differentiation, but also know that the risk exists. And you're not going to spot it unless you're really putting in the effort and your due diligence. And also remember, price action is not a clarification of anything. And what you need is adoption. And that is also what drives my bullishness, is you're seeing double the adoption rate of early internet and Ethereum, which is, exceptional. But we also see, what's clearly playing out is like a dot-com bubble, right? A lot of these things are going to be exciting and awesome, and a lot of them are going to need a few more years to really play out. Now, granted, if this early boom is indicative of anything, it's that this technology is going to sneak up on us way quicker than anyone anticipates, because the internet came up fast, and this seems faster, significantly, which is interesting because it's displacing it's displacing literally everything. If finance drives a lot of finance is a huge driver for human emotions, and human emotions are a huge driver for things that occur. So it is a pretty big deal. And all the tools and problems all the tools it offers and all the problems it solves are also huge. So let's get back on track. So when market's bullish like this, you want to get to these smaller companies because you want to catch the bigger upside, right? But you don't want to get blown up, because are you going to be able to research in great detail every single one you buy? Probably not. But if you diversify out a portion of your portfolio, you'll hopefully outperform the market or the bigger players than if you were to just like all in Bitcoin. And you also diversify your risk, right? But in a bearish market, if it starts to turn on the way down, you're probably going to want to be in the big boys, because some of these will go to zero. Most of these will go to zero. And that's just how it goes. They're all competing with one another. It's a vicious competition. This is the freest market. So there's going to be some losers. And then there's going to be some really big winners. And there's going to be a lot fewer winners. So be cautious. But that's a good strategy to use. And I think the market, there's endless things to talk about the cryptocurrency market. And that's also why we are going to be hosting future webinars. I don't even know if I want to call it that. Just community meetings. I still don't like that. I want to call it a powwow, but I think that's actually like but a little bit lower than what I want to aim at. I don't know. It's probably something simple. It'll come to me eventually on what I want to call it. But this upcoming Sunday, tomorrow, we're gonna come to a final decision on what time. But this upcoming Sunday in the Discord server, we're gonna have a meeting, kind of talk about the different cryptocurrency space. So I don't want to get too much stuck in the trenches on this particular coin or that one. We're gonna talk about that in the Discord server, and I'll probably continue to talk about that in another podcast. So I just want to go ahead and transition away from cryptocurrency real quick and over to China, who kind of threw off my game plan. I thought I bought the bottom of the dip. China was like, we got a few more news drops for you, which was interesting. And it's especially interesting because it wasn't until they did that I actually realized how far ahead of us China was when it came to cryptocurrencies. Now, we just covered how impactful they are, how quickly they're going to explode, and everything they upset, right? Banning that when you were already ahead, because excuse me if I got this wrong, but I believe it was the ENJ coin, was already being used for a lot of the transactions that occurred in China. And so when they took all that away, remember these coins they're made by companies. So when they took all that away, that company and all the other ones that existed in China, because they were ahead of us, so they had it more built up, all of them got displaced. Like, what they do is illegal. So they all lost their jobs. And it's a whole sector. It's a future, like banning internet from the country, which I guess they try to do. And just like they try to do that, they're going to try to do this. Neither of them are going to work. But they're going to try. And they effectively did, because when they forced all these companies out. Because these companies relocated. And I'll get to that in a second. What I first want to touch on, though, is those people then leave. Everyone that works for those companies leaves. It's a new sector, right? So it was eventually going to be a huge part of what supplies jobs and brings money in. And they were ahead, so maybe their companies grow faster than international companies, and then they spread out from there, and their currencies get adopted. The currencies created there get adopted first, and they had the advantage of that. They had all that opportunity. And they said, nah, we're just going to keep stacking debt with Evergrande. And they threw it away. And they also displaced all those people, right? Because we were actually seeing less people actually leave China and go there because of all these promises of growth that they had in previous years. And then they just ensured that they have a lack of it by in recent history, bringing back all these communist policies, and then getting rid of what would probably be the next big global sector. And that's going to hurt their population even more. And in fact, we're already seeing that kind of play out as these companies leave an exodus, and those who work with them, and going back to where they ended up. I know one of the bigger ones ended up in the Bahamas, which I thought was very poetic. It's a great place. That multinational affiliation with the islands and being a hub for crypto headquarters would be awesome, I think. It's poetic. So it's just amazing to me that it does kind of make sense, though, because we're seeing them, now start to play games with Taiwan. Play games is definitely not the right phrasing for that. It's more of like they definitely aggressed on Taiwan, and they are, the big G word. They're just genocide going on, and it's a mess there. And the more of a mess, the more nefarious they become, It's like the more incompetent they become. Almost all of their most recent policies have been very self-destructive and just more about maintaining power than creating a better nation. And I think what's more disappointing than that is the amount of Americans that are still bullish on China. We have such a... And you know what? I think it's just a lack of understanding. I look at FinTwit, and there are people on there who I know are intelligent, and they'll say things like, they don't understand why, let's say like Alibaba is trading at such a low valuation, and like comparative to U.S. companies, which is, I mean, it's just a silly thing to say, because you would never compare a communist company. I'm not saying that the company is inherently communist, but if the company exists in a communist economy, when you have this sort of economy where you're not letting a free market dominate, you're being more communistic about everything, and limiting how much people can make, you stunt your growth. The trade-off in the U.S., yes, we get big monopolies like Amazon. Yes, we have to constantly combat that and come down on them. But the thing is that we also get the exceptional growth that comes with it. And you cannot compare any company to our companies if they don't exist in the market that ours exist in, because they won't have the same growth as us. And there is just so many people on Twitter that do not at all understand this in the slightest, because I don't know why you could be confused. I mean, it's not even like an understanding of like basic economics. It's also like it's almost like a lack of morals. What in the world makes these people think that a country actively committing genocide is operating at a functional level that would induce productivity in their society? Like, that doesn't even make any in the slightest sense. It puzzles me. It's sad to see, because if they can't identify that, it means they're probably likely not identifying the positives that exist in America. And that's probably why there's so much bearish sentiment for us, I feel. People are definitely divided, but more than that, they seem kind of defeated. I feel anything but that. I think we're going to come out of this so much stronger than before. China definitely won't overtake us. The rumors about the U.S. dollar collapsing are far-fetched. Even if there's inflation, I think technology fixes it in the long term, along with massive deflationary pressures that exist in the long term. So, if you're a trader or investor and you're not long-term bullish, I don't even know what you're doing to kind of think about it. If you're going to, if you're not to not be bullish in the long term, would insinuate that you think there's going to be like some sort of collapse, and in which case a stock market won't matter, because that's what it would take for us to not work our way out of any problem, and we're undefeated when it comes to the world ending. So even though there is a lot of global tension and macroeconomic troubles and fears of a global recession, first of all, the stock market could run against that based on macroeconomics. It wouldn't be the most ridiculous thing, although the headlines will say it is. And we also could not see that at all. But even if those things occur, I think at the end of the day, we'll still be doing great. And in a bear market, people are pretty scared of bear markets. What you want to be scared of is the lack of volume that could appear are just slow movers, but it's a big market. There's a lot of things to trade, a lot of things to look for, and the game's still pretty much the same. Like right now, we're not in a true bear market yet, but right now would be what it's going to be like if we do develop into a bear market in the future, where you're just going to be about like picking the good stocks. Stocks that will run against the market, trade on their own merit, high alpha, blah, blah, blah. Saying a stock has high alpha, it's just a weird data point to trade off of. It's more of like, more basic fundamentals that need to power your trades. But that's stuff we cover in the class, so I'm not going to go on and on about that. This is supposed to be about China and crypto. And now you understand what a great title this podcast is. And that's actually the end of our episode, folks. I will see you on the next one. Have a wonderful night.